I welcome Pim to the stage. He will, before the break, tell us about the interesting topic Lawful Intercept and specifically Open Lawful Intercept. So you have a mic, perfect.
Yeah, does it work?
And you get that one.
Okay, thanks. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here and that I was elected to do my talk. It's about Lawful Intercept. So thanks for the previous presentation. There were some regulatory bodies and I found out some here in Switzerland, so I have them on my slide as well. And it's about two things. What is the Lawful Intercept and how can you implement this with the OpenLI software? I'm Pim van Stam from the Netherlands. S3 Group is a new name for a former company, and we exist from 2005. And I'm involved in the Lawful Intercept in the Netherlands since 2003, actually. So more than 20 years experience in the Lawful Intercept for the ISPs. So the IP intercepts where we work for the ISPs and not for the government. That's the counterparty. And helping the ISPs to make the Lawful Intercept possible. And well, it's lawful, so it's based on the law. And Lawful Intercepts can be requested by the police, tax bodies, intelligence agencies, etc. And the provider, most of the times I think in Europe, must be able, or must help, or must be able to work with to make an intercept possible with our own equipment or helping the police bodies to make this possible. And an intercept is only possible with a warrant. So that is the assurance for an ISP that it is legal and they do not illegal things. And intercept and Lawful Intercept is also real time, so the data that's intercepted is at the same time comes in within the agencies of the police, for instance. In Europe, we have standards from the European Standardization Institute, the ETSI, like GSM or whatever. And it's also for the Lawful Intercept and Lawful Disclosure and kind of things. And I found out the legislation here in Switzerland. And the COMCOM and the COMCO bodies I also found. But it's about the telecommunications law where the regulatory things are arranged. And also the procedural things are written down in the Federal Code of Criminal Procedures. And then if you go down to the regulatory, then the standards are written down. And I also found the Annex 1 and Annex 2 of the standards. And I'm wondering here, who knows these kind of regulatory documents? Anybody? There are some. And who needs to be able to intercept here? There must be some, yeah, okay, some Swisscom, I guess, must be able. And I'm not sure how this works here, but in the Netherlands, all providers, so hosting providers, access providers, VoIP providers, must be able to intercept. I'm not sure how this works here, if this is also the case or only the telecommunication. Also the ISPs. And hosting providers? Depend on the size, okay. And how much? Subscribers, number of subscribers? Both. Revenue? All right. So 1 million? 100,000? 100 million? All right. All right, 100 million. So a lot of smaller ISPs do not have to have something in place yet. But well, what I found in I'm not sure in the Annex 1 or 2, if there is a warrant for you as an ISP while you're below the 100, you have to at least cooperate with the governmental body to make this possible. And I'm not sure if you have to have your own equipment or just open the door. That makes a difference. But the solution could part be in the OpenLI software, where I come to. But what I found in the documents is a mixture of lawful disclosure. So that's about retained data, subscriber data, or traffic data, what is stored at the provider side and must be disclosed to the government. And also lawful intercept. So this real-time intercept of subscriber traffic. And also the exchange of the warranty information, etc. That's the ESUB HI1. And there are standard documents in the Etsy repository, but also found in the annexes that it was all written down, even if it is in the standard. So it's quite complicated, I guess, if you want to fulfill to the law. I'm not sure. Has someone has to deal with this? I like to have some feedback how hard it is to implement lawful intercept here. I can imagine it's quite a job. Well, the Etsy standard for lawful intercept is this one. There's also an older one. And it consists of the handover of the data and handover of multiple different types of data. So it's about IP addresses, IP data, telecommunication, so telephone calls, 4G data. That's different than IP data, for instance, because for a cell phone, you know the location, and that's very important. Where is this cell phone? And for a fixed line, it doesn't matter that much. You know where this house is, and it won't change that much. And also the older fixed telephony in part 7. So several parts that describes what type of data must be handed over. And this is a figure. I hope it's, can you see it in the back? The different elements? Yeah, okay, thanks. So we have the two communication partners where the intercept is taking place. Doesn't mean always that is about a criminal. We, for instance, had a intercept at the mother of a criminal here in the Netherlands, back home. That was communicating with someone in the Curaçao. That was the criminal, but you all a long drive to get there and intercept. It is possible because it's a Dutch soil, but they choose to do the intercept at the mother's house in the Netherlands. And then you have the intercept part, and then hand over to the government. And the LIA is the law enforcement agency, and the LEMF is a law enforcement management facility, the tapping chamber. And this is typical setup for an ISP. So if you have two data centers, for instance, to be redundant, you could have more, of course. 2 core routers, 2 core switches, and then the network below this. And what you could do is have the intercept at the core router with the RSPAN, for instance, or an access layer with to send traffic for this customer in a separate VLAN. Or you could have a mirror port attached to the interception function. And then the data must be handed over to the government with the mediation function. And that is just forwarding the traffic. And this traffic must be forwarded to the right place. And there can be multiple receiving systems involved, so it has to connect to all the different systems. That's the job of the mediation. Well, and then it's about the handover of the data from the provider to the police, for instance, the law enforcement. And it's in 3 handover interfaces. And handover interface 1 is about the warrant and all things that relates to the warrant. So if has the intercept started, has it stopped, has it restarted because of some reason? That's the HI1 interface. And the HI2 interface is the intercept-related information. And that's most of the times the same as the retained data. So who is calling to who, which numbers are involved, what time doesn't call the start and the end of a call. And with IP addresses, it's just what IP address does this customer received, and does it change? And the HI3 interface is the real data of the customer. So it's the content of the communication. So the phone call of the IP stream. And that are the handover interface types of data, and then it must be forwarded. This transport is encrypted with the tunnel, for instance. And I saw in the Annex 1 interface that here, if you have not a direct line, that there's an OpenVPN possibility. So it's also a manual how you can set up the OpenVPN with the police or where it's going to. We use an S-tunnel, for instance, to set up a tunnel interface, so it's encrypted. The data for around the intercepted data has a header to say to count all the package, to say to which police investigator the tab must go, etc. And this header is in ASN1 format. And ASN1 is in bear or dare encryption, just like X509 certificates, for instance, that are in the same format, just like this one. And the payload, that depends on the country, but the payload is also encrypted for the Netherlands. I'm not sure if German people know how it works there, but I believe the payload is not encrypted over there. I'm not sure what the case is here, but well then, what I told you, we're involved with the law enforcement tapping for 20 years. And around 2 years ago, I came along this OpenLI software. Next sheet. And it's from New Zealand. And they had this similar question as we had back in the 2000s. How can we, for smaller ISPs, because all ISPs must be able to intercept, and how can we make it affordable? Because if you buy the normal commercial software of our systems, it's not doable for a smaller ISP. For the operator, it's okay, but for smaller ISP, well, if you're 100K million plus, no problem. But if you're 100K minus, it is really a problem. You can start with 200K for a Lawful Intercept solution if you need to buy it. Well, they had a different solution than we had in the Netherlands. They brought a group of people together. Can we make this software in open source and make it available for everyone to use? So they did it a few years back. And with 13 organizations, they've started to fund this project. And they asked the University of Waikato to develop this. So they did it. And New Zealand, like Australia, is very attached to Europe from historical reasons. So they also use the ETSI standards. So they developed the Lawful Intercept with the ETSI standards in mind. And that's good for us here in Europe, because then we can use the software as well. So they developed it, and last year, I believe, the development is handed over from the university, because not a project anymore. It's really production with support needed, is to transfer to Searchlight. So the developers started their own company, and it's called Searchlight. It's open source, but they have to live. They very much like to have support contracts. Did I skip one? No. Well, there are actually 3 elements in the software. It's software mainly built on Unix platforms, Linux, FreeBSD, I believe. I'm not sure if it will work on in Windows. I believe not, but perhaps. And 3 elements. That's the provisioner that controls the 2 other elements, and the collector that's really intercepting the traffic. So that's the one that is really doing the work. And the mediator that's connected to the gateways from the government. And it's mapping the intercept to the different agencies that need to receive the intercepts. Yeah. So the software is made in C. It must be some elements very critical, time critical. If you, I asked them how fast can you be. Tens of G is not really a problem. 100ths of G potentially I need to test, but with the DPDK, and I hope with the XTP, with eBGP filtering, if these are terms not known, you can Google it. But it's for fast filtering of traffic based on IP addresses, for instance. And then you can do multiple 100 gigs within one server platform, a 100 G card with 2 ports, for instance, or 4 ports, and you can filter on stream level. That's what the software can do, and it's built with REST API in mind. So it's configurable with config files. It has a web interface, here you can see, but this web interface is very basic. And for us, it's a very good solution, because we already had a work management system of our own. We already have our monitoring system. Grafana, for instance, is mentioned a couple of times today. We have Grafana, Prometheus, InfluxDB, name it. And network operators know how to manage networks. So you can integrate this in your own platform, because it's based on the REST API. And also the web interface itself is based on the same API. So that's very nice. And the configuration, you can install it, the packages, you can have the package managers configured with links from the website. So you can have your package manager from Debian or Red Hat family configured from the website, and then you can install it with your normal package manager. And that's very easy. The instructions are on the website. You need to configure or install 3 packages if you need all this on one system. But most of the times you can do the collector on one, and the provisioner and the mediator on another system. And this is the complete configuration. Not all items you need to do, but this is complete configuration, nothing more. So with the provisioner, that's provisioning the things to the collector mediator. So you have to mention what provisioner you're using. The operator ID is something you get from the government normally. So here's an example. And then for the collector, the main thing is the internet interface you're using to for the IP streams for the tab. And you can also configure RabbitMQ for buffering. So if there's an incident in a network, you can buffer with a RabbitMQ, and it will send later on. And it is mandatory from the specification. Well, the mediator, same thing, not that hard to configure. The provisioner, even easier, because it's only listening, and it's sending the streams to the mediator. And the running intercept is where you configure the intercepts and the law enforcement agencies, both things. Dus the agencies are defined first, and then the intercepts. And depending on the type of intercept, it's a VoIP or IP email. They're also working on the mobile telephony intercept. That's not finished yet, but it's not in the example, but it's coming. And then the REST API. You of course need to have an authentication key. You can create them with the edge user. And then you can request, I'm not sure, I hope most of you know how REST API works. Sort of. You have 4 methods, a get, a put, post, and a delete. Now get data, put is an update, post is a new data, and a delete, well, it removes something. So you can get all items, agency, the intercepts, etc. You can put a new agency, you can put a new intercept, like that. It's JSON formatted input and output. The input and output looks the same. If you get something, you get the same thing as that you put or post it. That's like this. And if you set it up, so you install the packages, you make the configuration, you should get it working pretty fast. Then you would test it, of course. That can be done with the trace packet dump. With the dependencies that are installed, the trace packet dump comes with it, because it's from one of the libraries. And you can use it for many things, but also for the Etsy Lawful Intercept from the OpenLI. And there's 2 flavors, with the Etsy Live and the Etsy Dump. I'm not sure, is someone using the libtrace tools from them? Nobody? Not aware of this? I came along with the university in Amsterdam, and they used it for high availability servers. So it's used, I think, for universities most of the times. But it's very handy tools. Anything with packets, IP packets. Yeah, 3 minutes. For high speed, you can use this tool. And they had a side project, something with software for law enforcement. So that's the OpenLI. But then the problem with the trace packet dump, with the Etsy Live and the Etsy Dump, is that you can you get a dump with the Etsy headers. But if I want to check if a intercept is working, I would like to have a packet dump. So I put a PDF in with the intercept. I have a workstation, ask for a PDF from a website. And what I like to do is go to Wireshark and get the PDF out of the dump. Then I know that the intercept is working in the right way. Or if you make a phone call, you intercept a phone call, and you store the PCAP of this data. Then you go to Wireshark and you analyze the call, and you can play it back. So I can listen to myself, for instance. That's what we like to do. But with the trace packet dump, you get the Etsy headers and also the data. And you have to extract the data, do all kind of magic to get their PCAP from. So what we did is we created the Etsy to PCAP software. That's an extension on the trace packet dump for extracting the data itself from the Etsy dump or the Etsy live. So what you can do is with this software, you can put on the intercept with the OpenLI. You can configure the law enforcement agency for this. So you give the IP address and the port number and you want to send it to. You configure the Etsy PCAP as a law enforcement agency, and then it will put the data into a TCP dump format. So with this, especially with the latter one, where it's stored in several files, you can pick a file and watch it with the Wireshark, for instance. And that's how we do the debugging if a intercept is working. And well, this is how the Etsy format looks like. This is the standard. And that's it for now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pim. Any questions? Yeah, come to you.
My name is David Schweitzer. I work for NetDev. I would like to know how big is the packet overhead which the Etsy format adds to the actual PCAP?
Well, it's quite big actually. Really, I think 200 bytes or something. That's quite a lot. Well, you can count. PS header, that's all a byte. Then the domain ID is pretty long. Lawful Interception identifiers 4 byte, I guess. Well, this is the header, so it depends also on which type of intercept it is. But if it's encrypted, they have the encryption overhead as well. So pretty much. So for normal Ethernet packets, that is the MTU, it will be divided in two. But you need to have a good connection with the LEA. But it's only the intercepted subscriber. So most of the times that will do. Enough? Is that the answer? Yeah, great.
You've shown in the beginning there are two interfaces. One is to present warrant information from the law enforcement agency to the provider, and the other one is what you've just shown for the data. How do you verify that the actual warrant information is valid? So there's an actual warrant assigned to because all this seems to be automated. So how do you verify there's an actual warrant associated with that data in your XML file?
That depends on the country, I guess. This one? No. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, in the Netherlands, you get an extract of the real warrant. In the warrant, normally there's also the case, what the investigation is about, and the reason of the investigation is dropped from the extract of the warrant. Only the articles where the law is based on. So you get enough information. You get it from the police in an encrypted way. And if you want to have it automated, then you get the ESUB HI1 interface, the lowest. You can automate this. That is also that's a new Etsy standard. That's part of the overall Etsy standard. And it's also applicable here. So I'm not sure if this already, because the standard is, I think, not yet in place within Etsy. But perhaps the draft is here used here. And then you can automate this, but you can build in the step because the warrant is still in the automated process. Dus you can build in a step. What I would advise, if you receive the warrant automatically, it comes into the warrant management system, and before it's transmitted to the collector, that you build in the verification step, that a person can check the warrant and say, yes, okay, start. That's possible, yeah. And I would advise you to do so. But that's the implementation on the provider side. But if you're making the software, I would strongly advise to make this step possible. And if you're a provider, I would strongly advise to use it. Okay? Great.
Last question.
On the back.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Sharjeel. Just a quick question. We just talked about the interceptors, which is the collectors for you.
Yeah.
So for me, it's actually, I mean, I'm coming from the LI background,
Uh-huh.
and we have an interceptor. They're the TCP reassemblers. So they collect the data, they put the data, and I'm talking about the data LI and not the voice LI. So it's a completely two different domains. So the question is here, so this looks like for me a continuous recording or continuous storing of data. Is it possible so we can keep it in an OpenLI on a passive that you have to suspect, and there is a target, when the targets arrive, I mean a word, a phrase, a keyword, and then the collection starts for a certain period of time, and then stop, and then again, watchdog it. Is it possible? Number one. Number two question, I saw a lot of dumps there, which is good for guys, those who know how to work with the dumps. The presenting part, how you guys solve in an OpenLI, the presenting part. So I know a company called Fox Report.
Yeah.
So I mean, we used to work with these guys and the mediators, Group 2000.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, OpenLI.
Yeah.
But how you solve those things in OpenLI?
Yeah, okay, great questions. The first one is about not sending to the layer, but filtering instead. Triggering. And what do you mean with the triggering? Which target must be intercepted?
So for me was like a target word or
Yeah.
target phrase is pop up in a conversation, and then the interception starts. Because at the end of the day, the collection, the database, the storage cost money.
Yeah.
Because you have to think about it, or I had to think about it in past. So we need to have intelligent interceptors.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking how you solve this part in an OpenLI.
Well, if it's up to me, I'm not going to solve it. I'm not going to solve it. Period. Because it's what you say. It's about stored data, and so for instance, you have a subscriber that watch a lot of movies on Netflix, streaming. The kids are doing something, and from time to time there's an email with all crazy matters. And we get a lot of questions on this. Can we get rid of the streaming data? I'm not interested in it. Not my problem. In the law law says you have to intercept all traffic from this customer. Where ISPs bandwidth to the layers not really a problem. 10G link. Well, do you like to have 100G link? If it's on the internet exchange, for instance, DKIX or whatever, not my problem. So the filtering must be done on the layer side and not on the ISP side. That's my opinion. And they have to filter it before they store it, because they have the law on their side, so they can decide what they can store and what they cannot store. If the provider is making the decision what to filter, what not, and it's used in a case for evidence, and there's data missing, then the ISP can be responsible for the criminal court case. So I would say keep away from filtering at the ISP side. It's not our problem, really. Does that answer it? Triggering is a bit trickier. Maybe afterwards. The second case, can we use it for other cases than transporting to the layer? Yes, of course. I created the Etsy PCAP for myself to show it into Wireshark. For me, that's sufficient. But well, it's a TCP dump. Do anything what you like with it. There's several tools that can visualize anything from PCAP traffic. And you can do it live, or you can do it with files. So be my guest.
Thank you very much, Pim.
You're very welcome.
For those of you who are more interested or also interested in which providers are obligated to do LI and how, there was a presentation at SwiNOG 34, the first presentation, so you can download the PDF or even watch the video if you want to know more about this.